first one we're going to talk about here, he's an athlete, plays mostly receiver for the Panthers right now, but he also played some quarterback. I believe he was quarterback when they beat O'Day and Eastside Catholic earlier this year because Jake Sipe was hurt, but now Jake Sipe is back, and he's doing most of his damage out at receiver. But this is a young man that I don't know what position he plays in college, but I want him on the field. His name is Braeden Smith out of the class of 2022.
Heck yeah. One of my buddies coached him in youth basketball probably 10 years ago and said even then you could tell he was just the one guy on the team that could take over games even at that age. It just has that dynamicness to him. And, it's interesting because you look at their two biggest wins that they had this year against O'Day and Eastside Catholic, it was when their starting quarterback went down. And, a lot of times you see that in football where you game plan for something or you game plan for somebody and then he's not available and you don't necessarily have a great defensive scheme to stop the guy that comes in, and then he ends up causing you some problems. And I think that's what Braeden Smith does because he's such a dynamic athlete. He's a basketball player too. He's a pretty high-level hooper, and you can tell he's a point guard or a shooting guard, the kind of guy that can just drive to the hoop, and he's got that ability to stick his foot in the dirt and just go, much like he's flashing to the rim. I think he could be a slot. I think he could be kind of an all-purpose back type of guy, but he's a playmaker. You just got to get the ball into his hands. And, man, I know we'd seen him at the COVID sevens. It's funny because how many times do we see Seattle Prep just staying in that COVID sevens till the semifinals or making it to the finals? And you thought surely, if Eastside or O'Day, when they're at full strength and we're playing this game in pads, those are going to be the preeminent teams. And, Seattle Prep putting probably one of their most memorable football seasons together in some time, and a nice rally for them. Ballard had taken the lead late in that game. It was a very entertaining game. Prep got up early. Ballard wasn't going away, and kudos to Ballard too.
Let's stick with Braeden Smith for a second. When I think of him, I think of a guy maybe a little bit taller, but not as quick of a twitch, but like a Lincoln Victor, a guy that can just do so much for you, and you just have to find a way to get him the ball and let him, here, we're just going to throw it to you, and then you go do whatever you need to do. And in high school Lincoln, it was like, hey, Lincoln, we're going to have you take the snap, and from there, you figure it out. At times, and hey, let him all the way to a state championship. So,
and one of those type of things that it's like, get on my back, guys. We're going to win this game.
Yes. Yep. And it's that it factor. He's just, he has a way of doing things, and guys just gravitate to him. So, young man, we're going to keep our eyes on out of the 2022 class. Another young man, though, at Seattle Prep mentioned he waited way too long to let us know about these offers, and I heard about him recently. I've seen him, but I heard about the offers recently, and I went, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. He's a big dude. 6'5", 225 pounds in the class of 2022. Jack Velling, who has offers from Oregon, offer from Fresno State now, I guess, for a little bit, but an offer from Oregon State also came in recently. So this is a guy that he just doesn't want the spotlight. But I love it because he is a big kid that can absolutely play the game.
He's one of those guys, too, again, that we saw at the COVID sevens. And, a guy that big who can run that well and catch the ball that well catches your eye. I remember asking him, are you on Twitter? No. Are you on social media? No. Do you have a huddle? No. I'm like, you should probably get all those because things could change. And, Aaron Mall hit me up last week and said, hey, keep an eye on Jack Velling. He's got his first two offers. I'm like, man, that's exciting. That must be he got a Twitter to get those offers relayed to him.
Yeah.
But, I'm a big fan of the tight end position, being a former tight end myself. I love the guys that are those inline blockers. It's why I'm a big fan of Ryan Otten because he's kind of a throwback in the sense in that he's a tight end in a run-oriented offense. But Jack Velling, he'll drive a defensive end back, and then the next play, he's out making a linebacker and a safety look foolish. A real natural pass catcher, real fluid runner, a guy that, if you watch his film and then you see him in person, you can make a case that, he's one of the top 10, 12, 2022 prospects in the state, and a guy that I think he's got a really bright future.